This is People of the State of Michigan versus Brandon Decker, docket numbers 21-93FH and 21-111FH. And I'm told that this is a plea this afternoon, Mr. Decker. I have an address for you on North High Street. Is that still a good address?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And how far did you go in school?
I went till about 9th grade.
Okay, and do you work right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Where at?
I work at the meat barbecue in Old Town.
Yes, okay. Would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, you can put your hand down, and you have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Feigelson. And Mr. Feigelson, if I got this right, it's a plea to count 1 in docket number 21-93, and it's a plea to count 3 in docket number 21-111. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And will you waive reading of the balance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Allen, then would you read those?
In the People of the State of Michigan versus Brandon Decker, file 21-93-FH, State of Michigan, County of Ingham. In the name of the people of the State of Michigan, the prosecuting attorney for this county appears before the court and informs the court that on or about January 16, 2021, at 1201 North Cedar, City of Lansing, Ingham County, the defendant did in count 1 commit the offense of carrying a concealed weapon. That he did carry a dangerous weapon, to wit, a revolver, whether concealed or otherwise in a vehicle operated or occupied by said defendant, to wit, a Ford Explorer, contrary to Michigan law. This is a felony punishable by up to 5 years or $2,500, mandatory forfeiture of weapon and device, and was committed against the peace and dignity of the state of Michigan. And in the People of the State of Michigan versus Brandon Decker, file 21-111-FH, State of Michigan, County of Ingham. In the name of the people of the State of Michigan, the prosecuting attorney for this county appears before the court and informs the court that on or about January 31st, 2021, at 1201 North Cedar Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, the defendant did in count 3 commit the offense of fleeing a police officer in the 3rd degree under the penal code. That he did, being the operator of a motor vehicle to whom was given a visual or audible signal by hand, voice, emergency light, or siren by Officer Jamil Bakri, a police officer who was in uniform, and the officer's motor vehicle was identified as an official police motor vehicle, acting in the lawful performance of his duty, directing the defendant to bring his motor vehicle to a stop, did willfully fail to obey such direction by increasing the speed of the motor vehicle in an area where the speed limit was 35 miles per hour or less, contrary to Michigan law. This is a felony punishable by up to 5 years and or $5,000. Secretary of State shall suspend the operator's or chauffeur's license for a vessel privileged to operate shall be suspended for a period of not to exceed 5 years and was committed against the peace and dignity of the state of Michigan.
Mr. Decker, you're being charged here in this one file with having a pistol in an automobile. That's a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison. And then in the other file, 3rd degree fleeing and eluding, again, a felony, and again, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Also, if you were on parole at the time you committed either of these offenses, there'd be a mandatory consecutive charge or sentence. Have you had enough time to talk about these charges with your attorney?
Yes, I have.
Do you understand the charges against you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Do you have any questions about what we're doing?
No, I don't.
Okay, how do you want to plead?
Yeah, plead guilty to.
Okay. If your plea of guilty is accepted by this court, it means you won't have a trial of any kind and you'll be giving up the rights that go along with the trial. I have a picture of 2 advice of rights. They're the same form, one for each file, and it looks like your signature on there. Did you sign those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you went over those rights on the form with your attorney, is that right?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So you understand that those are the rights that go along with a trial, and those are the rights you give up when you plead guilty.
Yes, ma'am.
And is that what you want to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, if I accept your plea, it means you won't be able to come back later on and try to say that the plea was the result of some promise or threat that no one told me about today. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
It also means you won't be able to come back later on and try to say that it really wasn't your own choice to plead guilty today. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a plea agreement, Ms. Allen?
There is, Your Honor. On file 21-93-FH, in exchange for the defendant's successful plea and sentence to count 1, the people agreed to dismiss count 2. And in file 21-111-FH, in exchange for the defendant's successful plea and sentence to count 3 on the amended information, we agreed to dismiss the balance of the charges. We also agreed to dismiss in full file 21-87-FH. The defendant is also eligible for the Homes Youthful Trainee Act based on his age, and the people would consent to him receiving that status.
And Mr. Feigelson, is that a full and complete statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Decker, is that your understanding of the agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you agree with it?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Now, right now, I don't know what your sentence will be, and I haven't made any deals with anyone about your sentence. Are you clear on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything else in order to get you to plead guilty that hasn't been said here right now today?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone used any threats to get you to do it?
No, ma'am.
Is this your own choice?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you pleading guilty because you believe you are in fact guilty of these offenses?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's start with the one from January 16 of this year. On or about January 16. This is the weapons one. Tell me what you did.
I was driving. I was driving to the gas station to drop or to get some gas. I was running out of gas, and then I had to go take my little cousin home. And in the process of running out of gas, the police officer was coming behind me. He didn't flag me to stop or nothing, but the engine was like it was putting in and out. So I was just trying to get it to the gas station. Got to the gas station to get gas,
Okay.
and I got pulled
Did
over.
you have a gun in? Did you have a gun in the car?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
What kind of a gun?
It was a revolver, 22.
Okay. Where was it in the car?
It was behind my seat.
Okay. And did you know that it was there?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you put it there?
Yes, ma'am. Before I started driving, yes, I did.
Okay. And that was at the location of 1201 North Cedar or thereabouts in Lansing, Ingham County. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. That's where they pulled me over.
Okay. Then let's turn to the other one. This is the fleeing and eluding. Tell me what happened on or about January 31 of this year. Were the police trying to stop you?
They signaled me to stop. Yes, ma'am. And I don't know why. I just for some reason I just like I don't know.
Okay. But the police were trying to stop you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And this was in a marked police car?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
And you knew they were trying to stop you?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you drive away or speed up or try to get away?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And was this in an area where the speed limit was 35 miles an hour or less?
It was yes, ma'am, 30 miles per hour, but I was
Okay.
only going 15 miles per hour because my
Yeah,
car shut off and
okay.
to a stop.
And this was in the area of also 1201 North Cedar in Lansing, Ingham County, correct?
When that was when they got behind me, yes, ma'am. But when I got arrested at 1315 North High Street.
I understand. Has the court complied with MCR 6.302, Ms. Allen?
It has, Your Honor.
Mr. Feigelson?
It has, Your Honor. Thank you.
Are you aware of any promises, threats, or inducements other than those already placed on the record, Ms. Allen?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Feigelson?
No, Your Honor.
The court finds the plea is understandingly, voluntarily, and knowingly made without undue influence, threats, or promises of leniency. It is an accurate plea. It's supported by the testimony. The plea is accepted. Sentencing date I have is Monday, April 26th at 4 o'clock. Is that good for you, Mr. Feigelson?
It is, Your Honor. We'll have a petition for HIDA in your office before then.
Okay, Mr. Decker, are you in agreement with us doing the sentencing the same way that we did this plea, which is you don't come into the courthouse, instead you are remote?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Then you should just be aware that the probation department's going to be contacting you to set up an interview. They have to do that for the report that I'll use for sentencing. If you don't hear from them in a couple, 2-3 days, I'm directing you to call the probation department. It's 483-6100. Your attorney can help you with that number if you forget it. But if you don't hear from them in a couple of days, give them a call. They need to set up the interview. And your bond will be continued. And you are all set, Mr. Decker.
All right. Thank you so
All right,
much,
thank you.
ma'am.
You're
Have a good
welcome. You too.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.